Hello fellow audio nerds, I'm Steph, and this is Major Hi-Fi. In terms of portable headphones, Beyerdynamic makes some of my favorites. From my happy little DT240s, to the legendary DT770, to the topic of today's video, the T5p. The T5p is a can for audiophiles, and it actually pairs with a special DAC, the Impacto. Well, today I'm going to take a look at that sort of dynamic duo and sort of give you my thoughts on pairing them together. You can actually get the T5p and the Impacto in a kit, so they're really made to go together. Well, let's go back in time. I'll share with you my first impressions, and then I will meet you right back here for my overall thoughts. Alright, here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to my place. So today I've got with me the Beyerdynamic T5p and Impacto kit. So let's take a look what's inside the box here. Well, so we've got two separate boxes here. I guess I'll open the Impacto first and talk about that, and then I'll open the T5p. Alright, so as you'll see here, there's a number of different things. So first, we've got the actual DAC itself. This has a number of different controls right on the plate. It's connected to these two 3.5mm connectors, and these will actually go into the headphones themselves. On the end of it, there's a little micro USB port here, and that is what will connect to our listening device when we get there. Here we've got this little battery pack. You charge this thing up, and then especially for Apple products, you will need to use this battery pack along with the DAC while you're listening. So this the actual DAC just fits right here with the battery pack. Next, we've got a number of different cables here, and they're used for, depending on what your listening device is. So here we've got a micro USB to micro USB cable, micro USB to USB-A cable, micro USB to USB-C cable, finally a micro USB to lightning cable. Here's some documentation. Alright, so next up, let's open up the T5p here. Alright, so as you'll see, it's a pretty simple package here. We've got this documentation card, we've got this cable. It's a straight cable with a 3.5mm connector along with the 6.3mm adapter there, and the 3.5mm connectors that go into the ear cups of the headphones. And then we've got this beautiful case. It feels sort of like suede. It zips up. It feels quite durable, and I like that there's this little ridge here for the handle, and it's easy to carry. And then finally, of course, the headphones themselves. Alright, so as for the design of the headphones themselves, let's take a look. So the headband here, you'll notice there's a nice thick layer of padding along the top. It seems really kind of flexible and durable. The actual frame here, this is made of aluminum, and yeah, the foam is just really, really soft. There's a coating of kind of this leatherette material over top, and then there's this strip of suede along the actual top where you see the little Beyerdynamic logo there, if you can see it. In terms of how this thing feels, it feels really good. It's got a solid clamping force, doesn't feel too much, but just kind of keeps the headphones really kind of sturdy on the head. And I also think that it feels really balanced, like the entire kind of headband kind of goes along the top of my head, like the entire width there, so it feels really comfortable. The yokes, as you'll see, sort of the extenders here, are this aluminum, and those are actually the same piece as the yokes, which attach to both sides of the ear cups, and that lets these ear cups, rock relatively modestly. They don't really turn in or anything, not very much anyway. Just a little bit of movement to get the things sitting on your head right, depending on the shape of your head. The ear cups are pretty large. They're circular, like a lot of other Beyerdynamic headphones, but they don't feel too bulky, actually. I think some of the other Beyerdynamic closed back headphones are a little bit bulkier than this, which makes these particularly good for taking on the go. They're super sound isolating too. I was just having them on my head. I felt like, you know, it was kind of, there's definitely a wall up now between me and the rest of the world here because of these headphones blocking sound out. There's a really snazzy look to them. You'll see there's sort of this matte black finish along the sides, and then the silver in the middle there, and I think it's really good looking. They look really classy, not overly loud, but just look nice and durable and strong. And as you'll see here, in terms of like the actual ear cups, if you look on the inside of the ear pad, you'll see sort of the way that the Tesla drivers in here are angled, and that's supposed to be with the idea that they can increase the transparency and the spatiality of the experience when listening to these. So I am excited to give them a listen and see kind of how the Soundstage plays out because of the way these are angled a bit. Lastly, as for the ear pads, we've got the same sort of like nice soft foam as the headband here. It's coated in the same sort of leatherette material, and in general, I'd say that the hole here is really nice and big. It feels super kind of durable and strong, the walls of the ear pad, so I don't really worry that it's gonna kind of cave in at all over time. And in terms of how they feel, I think that it'll depend on person to person. For me, the circular ear pads feel really good on my head. I have kind of smaller ears, kind of a smaller head. I know some folks don't like the circular thing from Beyerdynamics, but I really like it. And the ear pads fit totally around my ear. Now the cable that comes with the headphones feels really durable. It's coated in cloth, as you'll see here, and it just, in general, the connectors also feel like really well made and strong, and work well with this cable. It's a good length. It's not too long. It's a, you know, 1.5 meters maybe, but in general, I think this is going to be a really good cable for taking on the go, just because it's not too long. It is a little bit stiff because of that coating, so managing it, like wrapping it up, for example, is a little bit funky. You kind of have to like find where the cable wants to roll up there. But other than that, I think it's going to be a really great cable. Very durable, a little bit bulky. As for the design of the DAC, I really like how user-friendly this is. This thing is really small, and it's just going to hang from the actual headphones when I put it in, which makes it probably the most like easy to use DAC ever. It's really just plug and play. When you're using it on the computer, you don't need drivers or anything, and everything on the actual DAC is laid out in a super easy way. So I am excited to take a listen to these, to this Impacto with the T5p, see how it sounds, see how it drives these things. So yeah, let's get into the sound. Alright, just putting these on. A couple things to note. The volume on the DAC is different than the volume on the phone. I still have access to the volume on the phone, so what you should do is turn your phone all the way up, back it off 2 clicks, and then you can adjust the rest of the volume from the actual Impacto itself. Alright, so I was just listening to the song Desperado by Rihanna, and what I'm noticing in the low end so far is that the actual sound signature leans away from the lows. They're not super, you know, loud in the mix or anything. They're not really emphasized. They feel really even, and there's a lot of kind of spaciousness around them. The kick drum in Desperado really has a good amount of punch to it, but it's just kind of quiet in the mix. And there's a really good sense of separation between sort of like the bass synth, and the lows of the kick drum. So there's nice separation down there. Alright, so as for the mid-range, I was just listening to the song When It Was Wrong by the California Honey Drops. I love listening to mid-range with this song because there's a lot of different instruments going on, but it's got this old school kind of it's recorded in sort of an old school way, so it's kind of mid-rangey. As for the mid-range, I'm definitely getting a sense of a low-mid bump because of where the bass guitar was sitting, definitely elevated in the mix. and likewise a high mid bump because of the way that the vocals kind of felt pushed forward, as well as different other instruments, the sort of distortion and energy of the B3 organ, as well as the guitars. The body of the guitars, the organ, the horns felt a little bit ducked in the mix, indicating sort of a little bit of a cut in the middle part of the mid-range, but I'm interested to sort of explore this deeper as time goes on. Alright, so I was just listening to the song Fever by Ray Charles featuring Natalie Cole. The bongos, the snaps, the cymbals all have a lot of spaciousness around them. The cymbals feel a little bit less rich than normal, but that said, there's a lot of dimension around them and there's a nice sense of air, so it's pretty aesthetically pleasing. It seems like there might be a lower treble boost somewhere in there because the drums and the horns all have this extra sense of snap to them that I don't get as much normally, so I think that this there's a little bit of a lower treble boost there. Right off the bat, I was just listening to the song Pacifist's Lament by Ani DeFranco, and the soundstage is really nuanced. I'm digging it a lot. Right off the bat at the top of the song, it's basically a guitar and then this like clarinet, I think. The guitar is panned off way to the side, the clarinet is panned up the middle, and it's kind of reverby and far away sounding. And the contrast between that sort of wide pan guitar and the middle of the clarinet feels really strong and really accurate sounding, like there's a strong phantom center here. Now the cymbals and Ani's vocal both have a really nice sense of air to them, and this makes the soundstage kind of shoot upward with the emphasis in the high end. And that contrasts well with the bass, which really kind of feels anchored toward the bottom, although it doesn't reach as far downward, or maybe it's just because it's a little bit quieter in the mix, but it feels a little bit less long down ways. But there's definitely still a sense of vertical separation between everything, and it just goes down a little bit less far than it could. Now, I will say the sense of depth is a little bit skewed in this song because the high-mid kind of presence, or just in general, the sense of presence with these headphones is pretty strong, and it brings forward a lot of parts of the instruments that sort of might make it a little bit less nuanced in terms of the sense of depth. That said, the flatness of the mid-range helps reverbs and room mics come through with clarity, and so mixes that, like this one, that utilize those sort of techniques in order to create space, like the very reverby horn versus sort of the drier vocal, really creates a nice sense of contrast in relation to depth. Anyway, I'm going to keep listening to these and throughout the week kind of develop my thoughts a little bit more on everything, and I will let you know my overall thoughts back at the Major Hi-Fi office. Alright, here we go. Overall, the low frequencies of the T5p paired with the Impacto are even and really feel quite balanced. There's a little bit of punchiness to them, but overall, and especially in terms of their level in the mix, they have a sense of naturalness to it. They're not overly boosted. The mid-range has a low-mid boost, and this gives bass guitars, synths, the lower region of electric guitars and strings a little bit of extra energy. It sort of pushes it a little bit louder in the mix. The middle part of the mid-range experiences a light, broad cut, and as a result, it maintains its sort of evenness, its complexity, its sense of realism, while being a little bit quieter in the mix. And as a result, this sort of pushes the high mids forward a little bit. Now, this high mid boost gives vocals extra energy. It adds a sense of articulation to all instruments, really, that have information in the high mid area, and really sort of brings things just forward in general. As for the high frequencies, there is a lower treble boost, and this adds a lot of articulation, but sometimes it can come across as a little bit harsh for some vocals. Additionally, there's an upper treble cut, and as a result, textures feel a little bit more relaxed with these headphones, but that upper treble cut really leaves a lot of space for the upper octave to shine, and there definitely feels like there's a sense of extra emphasis in the upper octave, adding a sense of airiness to everything. I was quite impressed with the soundstage of these headphones, especially considering that they're closed back, but I think with the Impacto, you really get an extra sense of spaciousness. When I listen just with the headphones, not with the Impacto, the difference between the two is that I just experienced a lot better soundstage with the Impacto. That said, with the Impacto, I really liked the sense of width. There was a strong phantom center, and the sense of wide panned things really came through with just a greater sense of expansion than I experienced just with the headphones on their own. Now, in terms of the sense of height, that upper octave boost really provides a great sense of height that feels expansive upward. That said, it doesn't go super, super deep down, but there is a really great contrast between the two, and so it makes the sense of height really effective. As for the depth, because of the high mid and the lower treble boosts, it really sort of brings everything forward a bit. As a result, there's a really big contrast between really dark sounding instruments that are mixed in a dark way and things that have a lot of high mid and lower treble information like vocals. So when the mix sort of emphasizes things being forward, it comes through really clearly with these headphones. That said, if you needed to rely on the headphones for the soundstage purely, then the sense of depth isn't that great. But the mid-range is really revealing, and as a result, reverbs and room mics come through really clearly with these headphones. Overall, the T5p paired with the Impacto is a really great headphone for audiophiles to bring with you on the road or, in just a portable way, I guess. Comes with a really nice case. The soundstage is really, really nice, especially for a pair of closed-back headphones. And in a general sense, the sound signature sort of leans toward the high mids and the upper treble. They're a little bit bright, so if you like a bright soundstage, then I think you'll really like the T5p. Thank you all so much for watching. For a more detailed review of just the T5p, really focused on it, check out the link in the description. I'll leave a link to my colleague's review of the T5p there. And thank you so much. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Alright, I will see you next time. Bye.